How's everyone feeling? Good? Okay, so I'm super excited about that we got a chance to introduce Joe and talk to Joe and have that conversation. I think I'm going to screw things up a little bit, because I'm moving over. So I'm going to move over to this side. Ooh. All right, oh, it's nicer over here. No shade to the other side. All right, so I'm going to introduce Channyn. Channyn Lynne Parker. Can we give it up for Channyn Lynne Parker? Channyn Lynne Parker serves as project manager for Chicago House Social Service Agency, Trans Life Project at Chicago House. Channyn brought with her a background in homeless youth advocacy, prevention, outreach, linkage to care, and counseling. Channyn Lynne Parker also works in the Cook County Department of Corrections, the University of Chicago's Care to Prevent and Stroger Hospital Department of Pediatrics, the Division of Adolescent and Young Adult Medicine. Currently, Channyn serves as board member for the University of Chicago's LGBT Board for Diversity and Inclusion and is a member of the Illinois Alliance for Sound AIDS Policy. Welcome, Channyn Lynne Parker. Eric is bringing your flowers. Thank you. I'm gonna go pick out mine right now.
So, I don't know if any of y'all have ever followed me on Facebook. I'm like absolutely no lie about flowers. I am like, yeah, I like have this thing. I'm like, if you're gonna bring me flowers, they have to be hydrangeas, or they have to be white tulips, or they have to be like Noahs. So, yeah, these are lovely.
Girl, those are from the gas station, okay? Just so you know, right, Antonio? Alright, so I'm going to give a little bit more here. Channyn's family originally is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She grew up in the south suburbs in Olympia Fields and went to Homewood Flossmoor High School. Her dad is a small business owner and mom is a working professional. Yes. She has a brother and a sister. She describes her upbringing as never going without. And while she acknowledges that there is privilege in her childhood, it's relative to the community that she is a part of. Channyn is the girl people know, but don't know. Yes. So tonight, we want to get to know Channyn more, or at least what she allows us to know about her. Of course, right? You're proud of the resilience of your family history, and I marked 1790.
1790. All right. So
that's when you were born.
I was. Yes. It's all fun and games. You can find a picture in my closet. Yeah. So me being an African American woman, our family lineage has a tendency at times to have this cutoff, right? Like we don't have the luxury and privilege of being able to go way, way, way back, right, to like these, I don't know, Charlemagne, American, all that other stuff, right? But due to a lot of oral history in our family, we're able to actually go back to 1790. We kind of hit a wall there. He was a slave in South Carolina. His name was Sanford. And he was sold to, he was sold to Mississippi first, and he was sold to New Orleans. And what's so amazing about that is the plantation is still standing, which I've actually visited. I know where he was auctioned at. That's there. So it's actually really amazing. And that's just something that's just such an honor for me to be able to really tie into.
Yeah, and you talked about it as like bringing honor to your veins.
Yes. I always say, when we talk about inherited traits, right, we're very quick to say, oh, I've inherited my mother's bad eyesight, and inherited my father's diabetes, and high blood pressure runs in my family, but we don't ever lay claim to all of the resilience that flows in your veins as well, right? We don't lay claim to the fact that in your veins lies the blood of survivors who survived a hellish prison trip and were unleashed into a burning prison field, and they survived that. And they survived Jim Crow, and they survived segregation, and they survived war and plague and famine, and whatever else. So for you to lay claim to all of these negative things, my God, turn it around and lay claim to all the things that actually keep you sustained and alive, you know?
Okay, yes. All right, I just got goosebumps. There was, yes, right? There was never a coming out for you. You never said you were gay, you never said you were transgender to your family. And you said that you always knew. And I want you to talk a little bit about going down the staircase at 16 years old.
Yeah, I was kind of like that character on a TV show that goes upstairs and just never comes back down. Just wonder what happens to but no, really. Yeah, I was coming down the stairs, so our staircase goes this way. My parents were kind of sitting where you all are. So I'm coming down the stairs, and my mother and father were just watching TV, and they look and quotes, and quoting my father goes, "Boy, you look like a girl." And my mother said, "What are you doing?" So I got excited. I'm like, "Oh my God, this stuff is working." You know, I got my first shot, actually, estrogen, from a Latino woman, Latino trans woman named Baim. Whatever happened to Baim? Right in the little village. So a long time ago. Won't tell you how long. But no, she was a Latino. Yeah.
All right, I'm doing the interview.
But with that being said, you know, opposed to freaking out, which my parents did, they were more concerned with, well, what are you taking and what is this doing to your body, right? So I was actually sent to the one and only doctor I've had since I was 17, Dr. Emmanuel. So essentially, I'm still in pediatrics. I don't say that. And I've been under my doctor's care ever since. Yes.
Well, one of the things, I mean, like, things don't happen like they do in the movies, right? Like, several things lead up to a moment. So sometimes we see that one moment, there's like that one coming out story, and it never really happens that way. You just said right now that you had started taking estrogen. It was like your first shot, and you described it as your first shot.
Yes.
And I've heard that before. Can you explain to people who don't know why, quote unquote, the first shot is important?
Because it is the first step to moving towards being proactive about your identity, right? A lot of times, this community has a tendency to think of estrogen as being a magic elixir opposed to actually real deal medicines. But again, it was just something that was like, yes, like I'm actually going to see tangible change happen to my body. So it was just kind of my declaration of independence. That's so cheesy. But yeah, basically it was just kind of my declaration to myself saying, you know what, this is what you're going to do, and there's no going back here.
And while you describe your parents as good parents and being supportive, maybe not, you describe them as tolerant.
Yes, so I had parents that were more so tolerant in a, God, it's funny because you know what's the funny is that my mother would actually be here right now if I told her. She'd be like, oh, why didn't you tell me that you were doing this thing?
I didn't, you know.
I forgot.
Oh,
I forgot to tell her.
We had some good food. There's still food left over.
She would be like talking about her blood pressure, pulse, representatives. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, tolerance, right? So here's the thing. My parents, God bless them, look at being transgender as an unfortunate state of being. It's just like, oh, poor you. That was how you were born, and It's kind of like being born Down syndrome or being born with any other type of disabling condition. Bless your heart, you couldn't help this, and well, let's help you do the best that you can under the unfortunate circumstances that you're in. I'm gonna tell you something though. That was better than what could have been, you know, and I capitalized off that. I'm like, well, Mom, since me and my unfortunate self can use some of my hair, these shoes are like really cute. Help me in my unfortunate condition. You know, like, there's no cure for my dysphoria, so let's go shopping. Right? So you know what? It worked. It worked, and here's the thing. In life, I've learned to see intention opposed to action, right? And my mother, growing up in the segregated South, in a Church of God in Christ Pentecostal background, you know what? That's amazing for her. That's amazing for her. And I honor that. And I honor that that woman is my friend. And she's one of my best friends. And we trade shoes. And yeah, so, you know, it's what it is.
I love that. Let's give it up for your parents right now.
Can I add something?
Oh, to me? Yeah. Oh, I think I asked something. I was like, no. Go ahead.
I've shared this before, and I said my mother is a very Southern woman, so I cannot duplicate her accent. If you watch A Different World with Gilbert, you might be able to kind of. My mother said to me, she says, well, darling, I named you because you obviously couldn't name yourself, but now that you have your own voice, it's for you to tell the world what your name is. And that is actually something that I take with me to this day. You know? So again, that's laying claims to that resilience that's inside of you. You know? So that's what I do as a provider, is that I help individuals tell the world what their name is, opposed to other people telling it for them.
You said that you love and admire the young people of today who are so brilliant in expressing their desire to not conform to the binary. Can you expand on that?
And I was kind of talking to Emmanuel about this, and in this short amount of time between when I graduated from high school and now, it's short. The great scheme of things is short. Things were a lot more binary, right? You were going to be a boy, or you were going to be a girl. I knew I wasn't wearing a tuxedo. I knew I wasn't putting a corsage on any girls, whatever, things, you know. But truth be told, I always felt more like a feminine vessel, but was I really sold on wanting to be a woman per se? No, not really. I really actually enjoyed me. I really did. I actually enjoyed my androgynous state of being. I was really happy being me. But again, in that short amount of time, we talk about late 90s, early 2000s, again, things were, are you a boy or are you a girl? And like I said, I knew I was not going to get up in the morning and put on a suit. So I said, well, you know what? I'll choose the latter. I'll choose the lesser of the two, you know? And it worked. Like I said, I have no regrets. I definitely really acclimated and really happy in who I am. But if anyone who actually knows me, not to say that this means anything out of this way, I don't wear dresses. I don't like them. I'm actually not really, I don't know, I consider myself to be moderately feminine. I don't really care for extremes either way. So I think if I had to be transitioning at 16 in this day and age, no, I don't think I would have chosen binary at all. I did not. I think that I would have been a lot more fluid in nature. And that's what I love about this generation. This generation is simply laying claim to their humanity opposed to being put into a box.
So I want to get into a little bit of your work, like your work today and what you're doing. But you recently got an award from Howard Brown Health Center. And I asked you about that. And when I first asked you about it, you said something that really stood out for me, because it was about getting an award awards and getting recognized, and you were saying something about, to the effect of you're getting recognized for something that people should just be doing, for the work that they should be doing, and that things are so bad in direct services, perhaps, that people aren't doing their job. So when someone does their job, they kind of get recognized for it. If that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense, and I think that that is really telling that we give individuals awards for things that they ought to be doing anyway. It's kind of the same principle of a kid getting $10 per A. It's like, what do you mean? You're supposed to get an A, right? Or I'm going to give you $20 for cleaning your room. No, you're supposed to clean your room. So I guess it feels the same for me. It's just like, it's an amazing honor, it's an amazing privilege when community recognize that you're doing something for them. But again, just like you said, it's also really telling that, you know, I don't want to say there's a lot of bad service. I do not want to say that. I don't. You know what I'm saying it, right? I just feel like when somebody is singled out to get an award, that says that, hey, you're really separating from the rest who aren't doing so well. And I feel like I would like to see us get to a place where good work is just commonplace across the board, and the reward that you get for your good work is the fact that you're not fired and that you're still getting paid. That should be your reward.
And specifically it was about the CRS. For people who know what the Chicago Central Referral List is, can you explain what that is? Because it's about housing.
So it's this tool that, I don't know, it's been around for a little while, I think. And basically, it's federally funded by the HUD. And you know what? I just began to put people on it because it was something that was there. And I'm like, why is everybody using this thing? So why not just, maybe I should just put people on here. And before you know it, I just had like lines and lines of people coming to me for this tool that was really public. I'm like, yo, you know you can pull this up on your smartphone, right? And do this yourself. But again, what that said is community providers are not even utilizing basic tools that the city has actually set in place to help people get out of homelessness. There's no reason why there should be lines and lines of people coming to me with two hands when there's a whole lot of other providers out here. So that says that if the masses feel safe coming to just me, well, what is everybody else doing?
So you've been on the ground hearing, you know, people's experiences around being homeless or experiencing homelessness or housing instability, and you put them on this referral list, for example,
sure,
so that they can get housing. And then the other thing is around the trans work that you're doing, you're also doing like gender, we're giving people referrals to like gender markers or health services, legal services, etc. What have you learned about people who are experiencing homelessness or housing instability that you wish people knew, based on the stories that you're hearing?
What have I learned that I would like for people to know based off the stories that I'm hearing? Man, that is hard, and that's an understatement. I don't even have the language for it. It's just really, really hard, and that people are out here honestly trying their best. The one thing that really comes to mind is for those who are privileged enough to be able to give individuals a chance at employment or a chance at getting themselves off their feet, do it. You know, I didn't come from a really disenfranchised background. However, at the end of the day, I'm still a Black trans woman, and someone gave me a chance. And that chance meant the world, and it changed my entire life, right? So I feel like when we're talking about these youth who are facing homelessness or housing instability, give them a chance. You know, give them a chance. Yes, their skill sets might not be up to par or where you want them to be, or they may not have the education behind their names, but give them a chance. And I promise you, under the right guidance, they will thrive. You know, so that's really kind of what I have to say about that.
And you identify as a community case manager.
Pretty much.
And how is that different than a case manager? Like, how do you, like, you're adding the community part.
That's a great question. With that being said. So, my primary roles are Chicago House and University of Chicago. But in that time, when I'm working with Chicago House, which my work is actually trans-specific, community that is non-trans comes in and seeks my services. I'm really thankful that I have a director that actually allows that to happen, because technically speaking, my role is actually designated for trans people. But again, what that says is that there's a driving services. There's a driving birthing services for LGBTQ people of color, Black and brown individuals. There's a driving services for us. So a lot of times, the bulk of the work that I'm doing are actually for non-trans individuals. And I'm just thinking, like, what is going on? So again, like I said, I feel like my role has organically turned into like this community case manager, because throughout the course of my day, sitting at my desk, I'm just like, how on earth did I end up with like 20 non-trans individuals that I'm doing stuff for, in conjunction with the work that I'm doing right now that's in alignment with my role? So yeah, I feel like a traveling case manager or whatever.
And you actually said that it was like 25% of the work that you're doing is trans-specific, but the bulk of it is for MSM and cis hetero people.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about the percentage being so small, given that that there aren't that many resources of people who are knowledgeable that can work with the trans community?
I feel good about that. And the reason why is because I believe that right now, as far as trans services are concerned, we're in a good place. Again, we could be in a place that we could be doing more, but that's a good thing. But we're in a good place. Howard Brown's doing an amazing job. We've got people like Dr. Marco Bell at Stroger. We've got well-intentioned people at Chicago House, so on and so forth, right? So I feel like the trans services that are happening right now, particularly for youth, it's really going well. But you have other populations, non-trans, cis, hetero, Black identified males. Their services are just like, after they're 25, that's it. That's it. It's like, what are they going to do? Same with cis females, hetero or lesbian identified. Same thing. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you're 25? And right now, my active investment, where I see my career going, is preparing youth to be 25. I feel like, we're in this, we live in this city right now where when you're under 25, great, here's everything, go, here's all these things, here's your unlimited stream of bus cards, and here's food, and here's the snacks. Oh, sorry, you're 25, you gotta go. And what are we doing? What are we doing to really prepare our youth to actually be stable? When I work at these youth drop-ins and I see youth who I'm like, you are not 25, right? But I get it. There's this desperateness to be able to get these services still. Because like I keep on saying, they're just not adequately prepared to be 26, 27, and beyond.
So I'm going to move in, thank you, Channyn. I'm going to move into the questions that people are asking here. And just remember for people, I don't know what the number is because I can't see it, but it's 708-713-5428. But it's okay here. So the first question I have is, what does it mean? It's very broad, just so you know.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't write it.
It's all right. I like broad questions. It's all right.
No shade. What does it mean to be Black and trans?
That's a great question. You know something? I think that varies from individual to individual. My Black trans experience is not another person's Black trans experience. My Black trans experience is based off of a lot of things. It's based off of my family background. It's based off of cis normative privilege. It's based off of having a job, having employment, it's based off of a lot of things. So I think to make a statement is to like, I can't make, that's kind of like a really blanketed answer to give that, but I will say this, is that it can be nerve-wracking. It can be really unnerving to walk down the street in fear of your black body, you know, every day. So, other than that, I can't answer that because I'll be speaking for everybody, you know.
Do you have a supportive network of colleagues that you work directly with in Chicago Health? I don't know if some of your colleagues are here. I didn't want to shout out.
They probably sent that in.
Exactly.
I know.
You're watching from the live stream.
Right there, hey? But I have like other colleagues that aren't necessarily Chicago House. I got my friend Zoline from Howard Brown. He's around here somewhere. He ran off. You're somewhere. He's where?
I'll be out of the testing.
Oh, hey, Zoline.
Right there.
There you are. Hey. Yes, I've got like quite a few people throughout the community that are like really amazing and supportive. And I mean, I would trade great. They become colleagues and friends.
Okay. Well, why do you think it's hard for trans women to access services in community organizations? What keeps them from coming out?
What keeps them from coming out for services?
Right.
I believe because, again, the services are just same old, and they are not individually tailored. I believe that the services have a tendency to be an attempt to cover very blanketed needs with the assumption that we all need the same thing, you know? And I just think that that's what's needed. I think that we need to actually deal with individuals from a more holistic standpoint, opposed to just assuming that everyone wants a gender marker change. No, not everybody does. We need to stop assuming that everybody wants a name change, that everyone wants to take hormones. We have to begin to really do a lot more effective individualized work.
Do you personally feel that there is discrimination in the public services available to transgender people?
Funny, I was like, of course not. Yes. Of course I do. You said, is there discrimination?
Do you personally feel like there is discrimination in the public services available to transgender people?
Sure, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And if so, can you tell us about it? That was the follow-up question.
If so, can I tell them about it? The discrimination. I believe that the discrimination is very subtle at times. I don't think that it's necessarily... I feel like anyone with good sense is not going to tell you, yes, I'm discriminating against you, trans person. You know? But yes, absolutely. I believe that there are a lot of biases when it comes to providers doing work for trans-identified individuals. It's in ways that I can't really express. It's one of those things where you know it when you see it and you hear the stories from the individuals who have incurred these injustices.
What are some ways a person working in the healthcare field can better advocate for transgender people?
You know, it's funny because I was thinking about advocates and allies before, and I once said, if everybody speaks for everyone, then eventually we will have a voice, right? So at some point, we have to begin to encourage the populations that we work with to use their own voice. I do believe that it's my job to help you to navigate systems that are otherwise really difficult for you to learn and grasp and maneuver through. But still, I'd be remiss as a provider to not put the wheel back into your hands and take control of your own destiny. You know?
And then there was one that says, what advice can you give a 27-year-old black cis lesbian? Wow.
Yeah, I have enough questions today.
You're working now, Channyn. I think we're about to make it. So hold on. What advice can you give to a 27-year-old black cis lesbian who is in search of accessible health resources?
A 27-year-old black cis lesbian that is in search of health resources. I feel like right now Howard Brown is doing an amazing job when it comes to that. That's my warm handover. I feel like Howard Brown is really doing great when it comes to women's services. You know, I really do. And depending on what side of town that she's on, I'm not really sure. That's one thing. I'm not really sure what side of town she's on. But I do. I feel like Howard Brown's doing a great job with that. But again, she should really kind of figure out what side of town she's on. Depending on what side of town she's on, utilize those resources. Inbox me. Find a way to contact me. I will help you out the best way I can.
Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
Great.
What advice would you give someone who's starting off in the public health field, working with LGBT youth? Is there one thing you could tell someone?
Yes. A part of being a great provider is to first actively listen. You know, and I think that's most important is to listen. Your client is expert in them, expert in their experience. Don't take that from them and realize that you're working for them to get a better life, not the other way around.
All right, I have two more questions.
No, totally fine. I also want to ask you something like, what's my favorite color?
Oh, I'm going to get there. What has been the hardest part about being a community case manager?
Everything. What's the hardest part about being a community case manager? That I freaking like walk on water and I don't get tired. I'm not entitled to having a bad day.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I'm not ever supposed to have a bad day.
Okay. What are some of your favorite books?
My favorite book is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. It's one of my favorite books. And also, there is a book by Ta-Nehisi Coates that I really like. And why the heck can I really think of it right now? Yes, thank you. Between the World and Me. Yes, that is absolutely one of my favorite books. Yeah. So yeah, those two.
All right. So I lied. I have two more questions.
Totally fine.
So honestly, I'm getting so many awesome questions for you. Like I'm getting like referrals for real. So please add Channyn Lynne Parker on Facebook and ask her there. But if you are following Channyn on social media, on Facebook specifically, you would know that you were in a relationship for the past 7 years.
Yes.
Right? And that recently, you're separating from your partner.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not going to end on this. Like,
it's okay. No, it's fine.
Can you tell us how that started 7 years ago? I know y'all are like, what the hell is
you know what? I love this stuff. I do. I'll get into that. All right. Why I love it. Anyway, how did it start? How did we meet?
No, not how you met, but like, can you tell us a little bit about basically you're separating, and what are you learning from that process?
Oh, that's great. Okay, so here's what I'm learning. So, all right. As a trans woman, a lot of times, the zenith of our femininity is to partner with somebody, preferably a cis hetero male, right? And when that all falls apart, we're just like, oh my God, I just lost all my value as a woman. What will I ever do? Was everybody love me ever again? It's a trans woman who accepts me and all that other stuff. I've learned that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. I am a ring collector. This is my second one, and maybe I'm a ring collector, and that's the part of me in this relationship is like, I don't give them back. I know what I say off sex, but I don't give them back. I don't, sue me. But you know something again, and also too, that goes into just being women of color, period. It's that we're taught. You grow up, you partner with someone, you become a wife, you become a mom. That's like the Mount Everest of your femininity. And for anyone who doesn't want that, it's like, what is wrong with you? So I learned that my femininity, my femaleness, who I am, is not contingent upon being validated by being a wife, by having a title, by being these things. My partner is a lovely, lovely, lovely man, but I believe that love is evolutionary, and what I needed when I was 20-something is just not what I need at this present age. You know, I won't get it. And that's what I mean, right? 5-year-olds do know what love is. It's just that you love you because you share crayons, and 17-year-olds love me because you carried my books and you walked me down the hall and we went to prom and we dressed like a great America. You know, love is just evolutionary, and what I need in this chapter of my life just is a little different now. That's all.
Thank you for sharing. What is your favorite color?
What is my favorite color? Oh my God. It used to be blue. And I think it still is. I think it is. I think it's like cerulean. That's what okay. It's like, I think it's like a powdery, like this shoe. It's kind of like a powdery sort of blue.
And if you could change the system to make things fair for trans people, if there was something you could do in the next, say, 6 months, Channyn,
Yes.
What would that be?
You know something, I think we've discussed that. One of the things that I actually said, honestly, again, it's not by far anywhere near perfect for trans people at all. But what I really see, I see the real problem being for trans people of color. So if anything, if there's any system that I would like to change, I would like to change how Black and brown people are being treated in society across the board. And once that happens, I think that will trickle down to trans people and the other populations that are under that. And then we'll see some authentic change happening. But I think that we really can't zero in on that specific population until we talk about the broader context, which is the way that Black and brown people are being treated.
Thank you so much, Channyn. That was the last question. Thank you.